normally tend to go to El Roji to get the live bait, the bogas. It's a very, very good place. You catch normal small sized bogas, which are the good sized ones. Obviously it's because the fish breed there. The water's quite calm and it's like a massive cove in there, so you get the smaller sized ones, which are the good ones really. We've been going there for years and years, and it's a very, very good place to actually catch live bait.
This afternoon, basically, we've come here to what is called the Roji, just to catch the bait, get some bait ready for later on. We're going to go to another place to fish for the sea bass, what is locally known as robalo.
This is basically the preferred size of boga. You can see it's fairly small. And to be honest, these are the ones we are looking for. And we've actually managed to catch a few. We're going to put it in the bucket before, so we can keep it alive.
We place it in buckets with some water, and we've got what is called un oxigenador. Basically, it just creates oxygen to the water to help keep the boga alive.
Well, I think we've concluded now with the catching of the bait. We have about 13 to 14 bogas, and that should be enough. If we see that we are falling short on bait, we can always catch a couple of them there whilst we are there. So, but at least we are ready and we can start fishing straight on when we get to the spot. So let's see if we're lucky today and we can land a nice bass. At the moment, there are two kinds of bass, sea bass. We've got the common sea bass, which is the robalo, and then we've got the spotted sea bass, which is called la baila. The spotted is very similar to the common sea bass, and it's got loads of like freckles and little spots on the upper part of the body. There used to be many bass before, you know, where it's a fish perhaps that the stocks, if we could say, have decreased a lot, you know, and obviously one of the main reasons is because it's a very valuable and tasty fish, you know, and everyone has always tried a robalo a la parda or un robalo a la sal. It's a very common and nice plate to have. The range of weight and size, perhaps in Gibraltar there could be a good 6 kilos, 7 kilos. One is a bit like pushing it, and that's like the sort of the biggest I would say they can actually get up to. Another thing is the size actually set by the environment. The size is 36 centimeters. So if you actually catch spotted sea bass or sea bass, you know, measure it, and if it doesn't have 36 centimeters, release it alive, and hopefully that fish will grow to a bigger size and could be caught at a later date. and obviously around the kilo mark, which that would be a good size. That would be about the 40 odd centimeters, which that's a very good size to eat really. This display really here is what we actually use for fishing for bass. This is a long 4.25 meters rod. This rod here is a spinning rod. This is 2.70 meters in length. This is the reel that I would use with this rod. It's a normal reel, very powerful. And the line that I will be using is a 0.35 or 0.40. This is a very small and lightweight reel. It doesn't have mono filament, which is this type of line. This is braided line. 0.16 millimeter diameter braided line. We're gonna go down to the lures. There are loads of different types of lures, different colors, different shapes, different sizes, you know. Every fisherman has his own references, really, no? This really here is what I actually use for fishing El Vivo. This is my trace line, especially as where we went to fish down by the lighthouse by Europa Point, 0.40, it's a very rocky bottom, and yeah, we actually want a strong line, and obviously this is the fluorocarbon line. I'm gonna go on to the treble hook. Obviously, as you can see, this treble hook is quite big, and obviously depending on the size of the actual live bait we're using is more or less how we gauge a treble hook. Obviously this one's big, as I've said before. Now we've got here the Gemini clips, and I'm gonna try and show you how these clips work. This is the normal swivel. That would be my weight, right? And this here is the Gemini clip, okay? This, as you can see here, is a really thin line, 0.22. Any size will do, that will snag quickly. Basically, this is a very simple thing. When you cast your rod, the weight falls onto the water, and it's a very simple thing. What it does, this plastic round thing here is being pushed up by the pressure of the water, and what that does is releases the weight. Okay, so if we actually have a snag onto the bottom, the weight stays onto the bottom. What this does is, if you keep on pulling, you would break this line, right? It's a very thin line. You would break the line, this would come up, so you break the line there, and your fish would be free. If you get it snagged onto the bottom, a quick big pull, break off this line, and you're off with the fish again. So this is my way of fishing the bass al buzón. Europa Fosso, everyone says that it's actually the place to go and catch the robalo, because they come quite close to shore. The scenery is beautiful, and it's a very sort of nice place to actually go and target that type of fish. We get loads of live bait there, and is where people are actually targeting them now. It's very calm because Gibraltar is quite small, but you are normally surrounded by cars or by people, you know, and this place was just like no sound, nothing, and it was just the sound of the waves Obviously opposite us you have Morocco there, and very sort of quiet and relaxing environment really, no? It's a very nice place to fish. Obviously it's quite dangerous to get down there, but it's very sort of a nice and relaxing place to be. The main technique, or the one that's been going on for years and years, has been la pesca vivo, and that's very simple. It's a live fish, quite small in size, hook or treble hook, and it's just releasing it alive. There's many different techniques, using a float, just the fish on its own. So there's many kinds of techniques. Yesterday we tried a couple of techniques. Obviously the three of us tried slightly different techniques. Trevor and I were fishing with a system called El Buzón. And obviously what we do is we get a long trace, we hook the boga onto it, or a besugo, or any kind of a small fish, and you just feed the little swivel or whatever you want to use onto the main line, and you just let it go, you pull it, and it just glides like a zip line. What that does is it leaves the live fish the ability of swimming up and down your line. What that's doing, right? You're targeting fish at the top, medium water, and at the bottom. Obviously, wherever the live fish is swimming through, that's where you're targeting.
Out of our experiences, when we've reeled in our live bait up, we do notice that they are alive. So we do know that they can hold the cast and the impact onto the water. So obviously this is a technique that we use. If not, obviously we would have to master another one. But we definitely know. I'm 100% sure that boga is still alive. Yeah, definitely.